All right, so that Luke text. Sometimes there are things that Jesus says that make me shudder, right? I mean, let's be real. This is not sounding like the gospel. Jesus uses the word hate. Now, we know Jesus, and Jesus doesn't use the word hate. In fact, what word does Jesus use more often? Love, absolutely. And so this is a little bit confusing here. Jesus is talking to a crowd of people. Now, to set the stage, we need to know that Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem. Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem to give up everything they have, to give up his very life for the people that he's talking to, for the disciples, and even for us. And so what Jesus is talking to about them is, what does it mean to be a disciple of Jesus Christ? What is it to have a commitment to Jesus? Because I'll tell you right now, Jesus had a commitment to the cross. And what commitment do we have as disciples of Jesus Christ? So there's a story about a chicken and a pig. Use your imagination. And the chicken and the pig were actually walking by a church. And on the church, as they were walking by the church, there was a sign that said, "Help those who cannot help themselves," right? Feed the hungry, clothe the naked, house the homeless. And so the chicken and the pig are having a little bit of a conversation, and the chicken goes, "I've got a great idea. I know what we can do to help out. We can make them chicken and eggs. We can make them bacon and eggs for a meal." And the pig stood there looking at the chicken and thinking about it. And finally, the pig speaks up, "Look, for you, it's merely a contribution. For me, it's a commitment." Right? Yes. Sometimes when we look at a commitment, we realize that it does mean giving up. But rarely in a commitment do we give up something without getting something else in return. In fact, often something better than what we were giving up in the first place. Jesus talks about here, to be a disciple, he says that you have to hate your brother. Let me go back to it here. "Whoever comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, and even life itself, cannot be my disciples." I'm confused. I'm really confused, right? And the thing is, it's in English. But the thing is, it's in English. And what we don't understand is that in Hebrew, there is a linguistic nuance to this. In Hebrew, they would over-exaggerate something to get the point across. You know, sometimes we over-exaggerate something, too, to get our point across, right? If I've told you once, I've told you 1,000,000 times. How many parents have ever said that? If I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times, right? Over-exaggeration to get the point across. And so that's what happens here. Whoever does not hate. It doesn't mean that emotion of hate. We immediately go to that emotion hate, right? If we look at the emotion hate really means that we passionately dislike something or someone, right? Passionately. Now, quite honestly, we've come to use that word hate just kind of flippantly, right? We just use it, well, gosh, I hate, I can't think of something I hate right now. I hate sit-ups. I hate exercise. Now you've got me on a roll. I hate house cleaning. Right? Now, house cleaning I passionately dislike. I will get, but you see how we use that as an exaggeration? The Hebrew linguistic tool here is not to say that we use the English emotion for hate. The linguistic tool that the Hebrews use when they over-exaggerate in this case is hate means to love less, to focus on less. So in other words, what Jesus is saying, whoever wants to follow me and doesn't put their focus on me, on God, on being a disciple, and puts their focus on their family or on things or stuff, whoever puts your focus on something else more than you put your focus on me. Now, did Jesus say, you cannot focus on your family at all if you want to be my disciple? The answer to that is no. What Jesus said is, I want you to focus on them less than what you focus on me. All right? So that's what we mean. So when we talk about Jesus saying that we are to hate, it means that we are to love a little less. It's about loving. It's not about hating. We are to focus on Jesus Christ, and we are to focus on the mission that we've been given in this world, and we are to focus on what God wants us to do in this world. So what's the second thing Jesus said in order to be a disciple? Whoever does not carry the cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. Does that mean that I literally have to take a cross like this and lug it around with me all day long everywhere I go? You know, sometimes we think that, or sometimes we water it down. Sometimes we think, oh, I've got to carry my cross. And what's your cross today? Well, I sprained my ankle. I have to carry my cross. Or I've got a splinter in my finger. That's my cross today. Something that sort of is a little bit of an irritation. Or Regan, what is it? Somebody who's annoying? Sometimes... Yeah, mean Papa, not you, Tony. No, not you, Tony. Fred. Regan told me Fred was annoying. So mean Papa, right? Sometimes we take a look at that and we say, that's the cross I have to bear. That is not the cross we have to bear. The cross that we have to bear is much bigger than ourselves. When we start thinking about ourselves purely as the ones who are carrying the cross, then we've totally missed the point. So what does it mean to carry the cross? Well, let me tell you what it means for Luke to carry the cross. It means to carry the burdens of others. It means to carry the ministry of Jesus forward by seeing those whom the world overlooks. It means favoring and regarding the marginalized, even when that action might lead to your oppression. I want to read those again. It means to carry the burden of others. It means to carry the ministry of Jesus forward by seeing those whom the world overlooks. And it means favoring and regarding the marginalized, even when that action might lead to your own oppression. So the first one was that we are to focus less on, love less our neighbors. We are to love God over anything else, right? And if we are to carry our cross, what does that basically mean? That we are to love others as we love ourselves. That's what this text really is kind of wrapped up in. We are to focus on God, and we are to love others as we love ourselves. But Jesus goes on and says one more thing, and this is where I get caught. He says this at the very end. Did you see it? I want you to get out your reading again, if you would, please. And at the very end, I want you to go with me there. So therefore, all right, so therefore, none of you can become my disciple if you do not give up all your possessions. Give up all my possessions. I got to tell you, I got a lot of shoes. I love you, Jesus. I love you, Jesus, but that's asking a lot, right? Give up all your possessions? I mean, what could Jesus possibly mean there? First, we hear Jesus say you got to hate your family. And then we hear Jesus say you got to carry your cross. And now we hear Jesus say you got to give up all your possessions, and I'm out. I'm not sure I'd make a good disciple. I don't like this job description very much, right? I think that I'm going to leave this and maybe find somebody else to follow. But again, it's not that Jesus is asking us to do anything out of the ordinary. As we just said, in the first one, hating your family is loving God more than you love anything else. In the second one, carrying your cross is loving others as much as you love yourself or would have for yourself. And in this one, possessions are again what we focus on. Because we can become so focused on possessions and getting possessions that we do not focus on Jesus Christ. We can't, because our mind is clouded. Have any of you ever said, boy, you know what, if I get that new, I'm here, I'll tell you where I'm going. If I get that new dishwasher in my house, oh man, life will be really good, right? Life will be really good. Hello, like I can't wash dishes by hand. I live alone, right? Have you ever looked ahead and said, boy, if I could get this, then life would be really good for me right now. If I could get a bigger house, if I could just get a bigger house, wouldn't life be great? Here's mine. Boy, if I could just get a swimming pool in the backyard, life would be good, right? Life would be good. What possession is it that moves you to focus on that possession and not on Jesus Christ? Because that's what discipleship is about. It's not looking to the next possession we can buy. It's about looking to the next piece of the mission of Jesus Christ that we can accomplish here on this earth. Now, Jesus knew we couldn't do all of this, right? Jesus knew that quite honestly, if I turn the words around, Jesus knew that it would be hard for us to love God above anything else. Jesus knew that it would be hard for us to love others as we love ourselves. And Jesus knew that it would be hard for us to give up all of our possessions. So as Jesus speaks to the disciples here, he walks to Jerusalem. And Jesus gives a total commitment. Jesus gives a total commitment of his life, because we can't. That total commitment of his life is so that we know that we are forgiven when we can't. It doesn't mean that we don't try. So let me share with you this. What Jesus gave us in his death on the cross is grace. So that when I can't, and I truly feel repentant for what I can't, then I am forgiven. But that doesn't mean I don't try. Disciples try. If I go around this world just collecting more and more possessions for myself and always go to God and say, oh, forgive me, Jesus, that's cheap grace. Because I'm counting on God forgiving me every time, which God will. But I'm not changing. I'm not giving any commitment whatsoever to it. Jesus has asked for a commitment from each and every one of us and describes it here. Love God, love others as you love yourself, and focus less on your possessions than you focus on me. We are called to be disciples in this day and age, and it's hard. Let me tell you, it's hard. If you don't believe it, we are bombarded, right? We are bombarded by commercials. And with that bombardment, all of these things are placed in our heads. It is for us to focus so much on Jesus Christ that even when we are bombarded, here's what I'll tell you. You know what I do with commercials now? I rarely watch them because I stream most of the time. But you know what I do with commercials now? Mute. Right, mute. Because I don't want to hear it. I don't want those things that I'll be a better person if I use this makeup. I'll be a better whatever if I do this. I don't want those coming into my head. We choose how we live our lives just as Jesus chose to live his life, carry out the mission that God sent him to do, and Jesus chose to walk to the point of the cross and die on that cross. May we, as disciples of Jesus Christ, make choices every day that show we are committed to being the disciples that Jesus calls us to be. Amen.